Let's take a trip back to the 60s, when Get Smart brought laughter to every household through black and white TV. With the clumsy Maxwell Smart and the sharp Agent 99, the series was the perfect combination of satire and humor. Although the actors are gone, their memories live on forever. Which episode made you laugh the most? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share to preserve these golden memories. First, let's come to Don Adams, born in 1923, who became a household name thanks to his role as Maxwell Smart in Get Smart. With his awkward charm and precise comedy, he brought this silly but lovable spy character to life. His line, "Would you believe it?" became a cultural icon. The role brought him great fame, but also became a double-edged sword when it made it difficult for him to escape the image of Maxwell for the rest of his career. After Get Smart, Don continued to make his mark in the world of animation, especially with the voice of Inspector Gadget in Inspector Gadget, once again conquering a new generation of audiences with his signature voice and irreplaceable comedic acting style. However, his personal life was not smooth. Don went through 3 failed marriages and had 7 children. The greatest pain in his life was the loss of his daughter Caroline to a drug overdose, a loss that made him more quiet later on. Don Adams died in 2005 at the age of 82 from a lung infection, leaving behind a respectable artistic legacy and a modest fortune. Despite his passing, he lives on in the audience's memory, not just as the awkward Maxwell Smart, but as a comedic icon of his time. Do you remember any lines or moments that made you laugh because of Don? William Schallert, 1922 to 2016, brought calm and dignity to the role of Admiral Hargrade on Get Smart, which began in 1967. His deep voice and commanding presence made him an unforgettable character, despite his sporadic appearances. With a decades-long television career, he also served as president of the Screen Actors Guild, SAG, a tireless advocate for the rights of artists. Schallert was not only an actor, but also a representative of a generation of dedicated and responsible television actors. However, behind his professional successes, his personal life was not perfect. Despite being with his wife for decades, Schallert admitted that he put his work before his family. 2 of his 4 children felt emotionally abandoned by their father. In his twilight years, he lived in a house filled with scripts and awards, but empty of family. Schallert once confided about loneliness and irreparable regrets. He passed away in 2016 at the age of 93. Despite his great career, many audiences still remember him as the father figure in The Patty Duke Show or as the stern but respectable Admiral Hargrade. Do you still remember the maturity, intelligence, and depth that William Schallert brought to each role? Sometimes, it's the supporting characters like him that leave the deepest impression. Dick Gautier, who played the robot Hymie in Get Smart in 1966, brought a mechanical yet emotional character. At the age of 35, he captivated audiences with his charming comedy, transforming Hymie from a mindless machine into a lovable icon on the small screen. Remember when Hymie tried to become human, with his bewildered eyes and dry lines, but made viewers laugh? At the height of his career in the 60s and 70s, Dick Gautier was a familiar face on many popular shows such as The Mary Tyler Moore Show or Love, American Style. But in the 90s, the spotlight faded, he struggled with supporting roles and a turbulent personal life. 3 broken marriages left many regrets. In his house in Arcadia worth nearly $1 million, he lived quietly, surrounded by paintings and mementos of a golden age. Few people know that, in addition to acting, he was also a talented artist, having painted portraits of many close colleagues. Dick Gautier passed away in 2017 after a long battle with illness. His legacy is laughter and an unforgettable robot character. Do you remember any of his other roles? Do you like the mechanical but very human Hymie? Stacy Keach Sr., who played Carlson in 1960 SIX's Get Smart, provided the series with a calm anchor in the chaotic world of espionage. At 52, he was a familiar face in a series of supporting roles, serious, quiet, but always memorable. Remember Carlson with his cool but charming face? In the 1960s, Stacy Keach Sr. appeared in many TV series, from Hogan's Heroes to The Dick Van Dyke Show. Despite his hard work and experience, he always yearned for a big role to assert himself, something his two sons, especially Stacy Keach Jr., achieved with more prominent aura. By the 1990s, he was living quietly in Burbank, in a $2 million house filled with classic cars and Hollywood memorabilia, a small museum of the era. His estranged marriage and feelings of being overshadowed left him with a quiet loneliness. Stacy Keach Sr. died of heart failure in 2003, leaving behind a long but little celebrated career. Have you ever seen him in a small role and thought, this guy looks familiar? Edward Platt, who played the chief in Get Smart since 1965, was the heart and mind of the hit spy comedy series. At 49, he brought the image of a calm, patient leader to confront the silly antics of Maxwell Smart. Audiences cannot forget the chief's characteristic size or stern but tolerant gaze. Do you remember the times he had to clean up the battlefield after each of Maxwell's missions? In the 60s, Edward Platt was a familiar face on the small screen, appearing in many films and TV shows. However, in the 70s, his career gradually slowed down. Financial difficulties, a broken marriage, and an estranged relationship with his two sons caused him to fall into deep depression. Although he officially announced his death of a heart attack in 1974, many sources later confirmed that he took his own life. He left behind an estate of around $500,000 and a house in Santa Monica, which is filled with valuable Get Smart memorabilia. Edward Platt's performance is understated, but imbued with warmth and depth. Have you ever felt more at ease when the chief appears? Thank you for taking me back to the 60s, when Get Smart lit up the screen with laughter and wit. The awkward Don Adams, the goofy Dick Gautier, the cool Stacy Keach Sr., the warm Edward Platt, they weren't just actors, they were part of our beautiful memories. Even though they're gone, their laughter still resonates like the light from the old black and white TV. Do you remember which episode made you laugh? Or which moment made you nostalgic? Please share. And as Maxwell once said, sorry about that, Chief, but this time, I just want to say, thank you, and see you soon.